Today we are jumping into part 2 of Dollar Tree's Christmas gift bag DIYs. So let's get started. Dollar Tree has some of the cutest Christmas gift bags this year. Just look at all these beautiful options. It's honestly hard to just choose one. Now I'm really loving their scenic Christmas designs and the large detailed landscapes. They're so beautiful. I knew I had to frame one for my Christmas decor. Any of these would look so beautiful framed, and I decided to go with this design with a cozy little house and the snowy outdoors. I found this large frame at a thrift store a while back, and I just knew it was perfect for this project. It's a good size, so I'm going to give it a quick Christmas makeover. I'll be using Rub and Buff in Gold Leaf, which is quickly becoming one of my favorites for Christmas projects. It gives such a beautiful rich gold finish. Next, I flip the frame over to remove the backing board and glass. I'll just set those aside for now so I can focus on the frame itself. I really love the carving details on this frame. It's so beautiful and elegant. But honestly, the details kind of get lost with this color, so I'm going to bring them out a bit more and give it that nice antique look to make those carvings pop. So I'm applying the Rub and Buff with a sponge brush to give me more control. I want to really highlight the carving details. The frame's dark color will make those recessed areas stand out, while the gold adds a beautiful antique touch to the raised details. I'm also making sure to apply the gold wax to the outer and inner parts of the frame. But I'm not worried about getting full coverage on the sides. I'm focusing more on the carved areas and the front, where the gold will really highlight the details. Now to get to those hard to reach areas, I'm also using a small brush, and that really does a great job of getting into the nooks and crannies and the narrow areas. Once that's done, I just set that aside to dry. Next, I'm cutting out the part of the design that I want from the gift bag. And I'm going to be using the side without the bottom crease. Once that's cut out, I place a backing board right on top, and I'm creasing the top and bottom areas to mark where I need to cut. Now the print is all ready to be framed. I turn the frame over, carefully placing the glass back in. Then I place the picture on top. Finally, I add the backing board to secure everything in place. And that's it. I'm so happy with how it turned out. The frame looks stunning, and the gold accents really bring out the intricate details, giving the whole thing that timeless vintage Christmas charm. For the next DIY, I'll be using this wooden board from Dollar Tree. It comes with a rope and a metal ring, but for this project, I'm only using the wood board. I love the design on this gift bag. It has such a cozy wintry feel with a cute cottage and snowy rooftop. It's so pretty. And I'm going to be using it to turn this wood board into a charming little tray. Now I'm going to be using the side of the gift bag with a crease because I only need a small amount, and I do want to save the other side for another project. So I'm going to cut out that side of the gift bag and place the board right on top, just above the fold. I'm tracing around the board to mark how much I need to cut. Then I cut it just slightly larger than the board to leave a little bit of overhang. To adhere the paper onto the board, I'm going to first apply some Mod Podge on top of the wood. I get these little bottles at Dollar Tree. They're so convenient to have, and I just love squeezing out the Mod Podge. I'm putting a good amount on top. I want to make sure it's completely covered, and then I'm just using a little sponge brush to spread it all over. After that, I'm going to let it dry completely. If you're in a hurry, you can speed up the process with a heat tool or hair dryer. It does dry pretty quickly. Once it's dry, I grab some parchment paper big enough to cover the wood, and then I place the image right on top, making sure it's exactly where I want it. After that, I lay the parchment paper over the image. I'm using my mini heat press to go over it, but you can totally use a regular iron. Just make sure it's on low heat. The heat will reactivate the Mod Podge underneath, helping the design to stick to the wood. And with this method, you don't get any bubbles from the Mod Podge, which is pretty awesome. Alright, now that I've given it a little time to dry, I'm going to sand off the overhang. I'm just using my little mini sander or my finger sander, and I get these on Amazon and they're super handy. I'll drop a link below for these, plus anything else I've used in this video that I have a link for. You just want to sand it in one direction away from the board. I also wanted to sand just a bit more along the edges to expose a little of that wood, and this will give it a subtle border and it makes the graphic blend in with the wood nicely. And finally, I'm sealing the top with another layer of Mod Podge. Once it dries, the paper does stay nice and flat, so no ironing is needed. The final step is to add some legs to elevate and complete the look. I'll be using these wooden shapes from Dollar Tree. These are mini snowmen, and I always grab a bunch of these whenever I see them at Dollar Tree. They're just great for crafting. So I'm just gluing these on the back and then placing them over the holes on the corners. Now I could have covered them up or cut up some popsicle sticks to go over it just to give the glue something more to adhere to, but with that said, it still held pretty well. One thing you might notice about these boards from Dollar Tree is that they can be a little curved, but no worries, it's an easy fix. Just hot glue a piece of dense wood like this one over the back, making sure it's trimmed to fit, and hold it down flat until the glue dries. This usually straightens out the board and flattens it right out. And that's it. Now we have a cute little tray, perfect for Christmas. On my last video, I used a couple of these fabric bags from Dollar Tree to make some really adorable wall decor, and I'll be using the rest of the pack for this DIY. I also grabbed 5 of these 2x18-inch wood planks from Dollar Tree. First, I'm removing the stickers from all of them and giving them a quick sanding to get rid of any sticky residue. I'm placing 4 of them side by side to measure the length horizontally, and for the last piece, I'll trim down 2 to match that size. And I just use a miter box and saw to cut it. I'm going to be staining the wood with this gel stain from Decor Art in the shade Walnut. I'm just using a little cloth to apply it. It's super easy, but you could totally paint or stain the wood in any color you want to match the season. If you want something more festive, a red and green stain could work too. The gel stain is nice because it gives the wood a rich, smooth finish, and it just adds a really nice warmth to any project. And for the cut pieces, I'm going to spray them with gold metallic spray paint from Rust-Oleum. So I take them outside and give it a quick layer of spray paint. On the top and sides, the bottom sides, I'll be applying glue on there so I don't bother that area. So now it's time to glue the wood pieces together. I'm laying out the 4 planks, making sure the edges line up and are flush. And then I apply some hot glue on the back of one of the cut wood, and I place that towards the edge. And I'm starting with the left side, and I place that about an inch from the side. I do the same thing on the other side, applying a good amount of hot glue on the back of the cut piece, and then I place that on the other end. I'm also holding it down firmly for a bit, and this will just flatten out the wood beneath. I'm going to be screwing a little hook into one of the cut pieces of wood because I want to hang that fabric sack on it, turning it into a cute little hanging planter. I didn't show it here, but I actually drilled a tiny pilot hole first to get things started. It just makes it way easier to screw the hook in without messing up the wood. I'm placing the hook right in the center of the cut wood, making sure it's nice and centered so everything hangs just right. Now there's a couple ways to hang the sack. On one of them, I wanted to replace that drawstring with some velvet ribbon, so I'm just snipping that off. And then to string through the ribbon, I'm just using a plastic yarn needle. These are always so handy to have around, and I just add a little tape to the end of the ribbon to hold it in place, and that will make it easier to thread through the casing. Then I simply guide the ribbon through the drawstring casing. And I want it to go around the whole top, making a full circle. Now I'm using this gorgeous burgundy ribbon, but honestly, you can use any type of ribbon you have on hand. If you want something a little more delicate, lace would work beautifully too. It would add such a nice soft touch, or you can even use a satin ribbon for a smooth, elegant look. Once I've got the ribbon threaded through the whole top casing, I'm going to scrunch up the top and close the opening just a bit. Not all the way though. I want it to be wide enough to fit some stems in there. I glue the ribbon ends together with a little hot glue to hold it in place. After that, I grab some more ribbon and thread it through the back of the sack. I make sure to have enough slack so I can hang the bag where I want it to sit. And so once it's at the right height, I tie a bow at the top near the hook and making sure I have just the right amount of ribbon to make it look cute and hang perfectly. Now for another quick and easy option, if you don't want to bother with switching out the drawstring, just leave it in place and pull on the drawstring a bit to close up the opening, then hang the ends directly on the hook. If you want it to hang a little lower or higher, just adjust the size of the opening to get it right where you want it. To hang the wood, you can add a sawtooth hanger or some D-hooks on the back. Personally, I love using these Velcro command strips to hang. They're super strong and so easy to work with, but if you don't want to hang it, you can just lean it against the wall. I added some fillers inside the sack to give it more dimension, and this way it doesn't look too flat. Then I stuck in some greeneries, and this one's all done. For the final DIY, I'll be using this absolutely adorable Dollar Tree gift bag with a cozy Christmas house design. I'll also be using this Dollar Tree wood round and this beaded wreath from Dollar Tree as well. So first thing, I'm going to trace the round, and I'm just going to make sure that I have the parts of the design that I want within the circle. Okay, so I'm just cutting out the circle, and I'm adding a bit more so that I have a little overhang. So I'm covering the whole surface of the wood circle with Mod Podge. I'm not being stingy with it either. I'm putting on a nice thick layer because I really want the entire surface to be covered completely. To spread it out, I'm using a round sponge brush, which works really well to get a smooth and even coat. I'm also going back around the edges and adding a little extra Mod Podge just to make sure I didn't miss any spots. You don't want any dry areas because that's how you get bubbles or peeling later. Get a heat tool or hairdryer to speed up drying time, and once that's dry, it's time to adhere it onto the wood round. I'm ripping out some parchment paper to fit on top of the round, and you can reuse these over and over again. I place a parchment paper right over the wood round. I'll be using my heat tool, but if you don't have one, no worries. You can totally use an iron on a low heat setting instead. I carefully go over the entire surface, making sure I don't miss any spots, especially around the edges. After that, I sand off the overhang with my little sander. I start by sanding all around the edge of the wood round, and the overhang just peels away super easily. If there are any areas that don't come off right away, I just go over them again until everything is nice and smooth. And this gives the edges a really clean, polished look. Next, I'm applying some hot glue on the beaded wreath, and then I place that right on top of the wood round. To spice it up, I'm using these glittered pine stems from Dollar Tree. Let me just say, this thing is basically a glitter bomb. I grabbed these last year, and while the pine is gorgeous, the glitter was a little extra for me. But this year, I'm all in, and it's perfect for this project. I'm just bending the stems to follow the curve of the wood, and then hot gluing them down towards the top, opposite each other to keep it symmetrical. I'm going to glue about 3 stems on each side, layering them to make it look fuller. Okay, so I'm really liking how it's looking so far. Next, I'll be adding some of these faux baby's breath and some berries. So I'm just placing them here and there, hot gluing them down wherever I think they look good, and this will add a really nice pop of contrast to the green. I want to add a bow on top, and I wanted it to be a little bigger than a simple bow. I'm using the super cute velvet ribbon, and there's so many ways to make a bow, but this is one of my favorites. I'm just gathering it in the center, making a loop, then gathering it again in the middle. You can totally add as many loops as you want, and I'm doing 3 on each side. By the way, let me know if you want me to do a video on different ways to make bows. I know there are tons of them out there, but if you're curious about the different ways I like to make them, let me know and I'd be happy to make a video on that just for you. So once that's done, I hot glue that right on top in the center. Now I decided to add a few more embellishments, more berries, and some pine cones. And then I just trimmed the ends of the ribbon to clean it up. To hang it, I'm just hot gluing a thinner velvet ribbon on the back. You could totally poke holes and just string that jute string right back through, but I thought this looked way better. And we're done. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps. And if you're not already subscribed, I'd love to have you stick around for more DIYs like this. Until next time, bye!